So I just want to say this. This is just a quick video because I don't need to make this a long video. I really don't. Um, but I watched For Harriet's Black Trans Women or Black Women Period with Kat Blaque and I don't know, some French name. That's what it looks like. Anyway, two other transgender women. And I mean, even the title, Black Trans Women are capital letters, Black women, period. Like, wow. Like I said, I could make the joke and just sit there and say, well, if transgender women are black women, period, then, you know, colorist black men most certainly can one drop rule in light skinned women, as much as they want to. Freaking Meghan Markle is a black queen, period. She's just as black as Lupita Nyong'o, period. There's no such thing as colorism, you know. Um, but basically, this has been an ongoing issue. It's like you gotta look at the bigger picture, and we've talked about this before, but it's like black people it's like they're anti for the sake of being anti, or they always take it too far. These radical elements in the black community, they always take it too far. People want to talk about why the black community is broken and why we can't organize and why we can't, put things together. It's because we don't have any vertical structures. Slavery was the great equalizer, as some people see it, both between genders and, between, male hierarchies. If you try to organize and do something with some black people, I guarantee you're going to come across, well, who made you the boss? Who made you the boss? Who made you qualified? Right. And this is one of my frustrations when it comes to black women. Shout out to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, because he talked about this on his show, where, the whole high priestess, ethereal earth mother, black Afrocentric goddess, she, has, her role just simply, by speaking it into existence. There's no qualification for being an earth mother, goddess, high priestess, who's the moral compass, for everybody and giving people spiritual guidance and all the other stuff. Like, basically, essentially what, Jada Pinkett has placed herself in, being the ghetto version of Ayala or something like that. Right. Right. And so, I think that also just creates confusion. Boys raised underneath that, that paradigm, you end up with a situation where they really believe that, they can, they don't have to do anything, because women get ethereal, instantaneous, respect for being earth mother goddesses. They're like, well, why can't I get instantaneous, respect, for being a man? Why can't I get, just, instant deference and instant acknowledgement and instantly be recognized, because they see women doing it all over the place, and it can be, Hotep can be used, or, the Christianity can be used. I only submit to a God-fearing Christian. And then, the woman can move the goalpost around and then, basically invoke God whenever she wants to invoke God, and claim that you're not in tune or aligned with God, and you're not being righteous or whatever, because it just comes down to something that she doesn't want to do, and all she has to do is say that you're out of sync with God or you're out of sync with the Bible, and then she can invoke God to not do what she doesn't want to do. Like, I'm just like, why don't you just say you just don't want to do it? Like, why don't you just say you don't want to cooperate? But instead they'll make it seem like, oh well, the man's, he's not right with God, so therefore I'm not right with him, or I can't, subscribe to whatever he's talking about or whatever he's telling me to do or whatever guidance he's giving me, because he can't give me guidance because I'm more in tune with God than he's in tune with God. So I don't have to listen to anything what he says, which it's like the roundabout way of simply saying I don't have to listen to do anything that he says. You know what I mean? So there's no vertical structures in the black community. And I've talked about this since my earliest days of coming online, that black people really struggle with, like, it's like you have the system of white supremacy in the background, and we know what white people did, and they define everything, and they created all of this structure. But personally, I believe certain things are universal. The patriarchies are universal. The fact that, men are more physically capable than women is universal. The fact that, most women are trying to be women, and I mean, just the way it's set up, it's like, I hear people talking about all this crazy, strong, independent, all this stuff, and women are going to the moon and back. But then, the reality is, okay, she has the first baby. Y'all got married. She has the first baby. Okay. And then, maybe a year or two later, she has another baby. So now you got an infant and a toddler running around. And I'm like, that takes a lot of care. And if she wants to have more kids, like, that's a situation where a woman is going to be wholly dependent on a man when she's, being, caregiver and whatnot. But yet, you get people who think that, they can go out and do something different now. Right. And that's the crazy thing. It's like, the bullshit of it all is, the people will sit there and they'll say, well, we don't subscribe to this because this came from white supremacy, and subscribing to this is us engaging or reinforcing or supporting the system of white supremacy that all black people should be against. But then it's that very system of white supremacy that gives black women the resources and whatnot to basically say, well, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do because that's that way that you're trying to get me to subscribe to is the old way, and women are working now, and women are making money now, and again based on the oppressive system. So it's the oppressive system that gives you the freedom to basically buck the patriarchy that you will also reinforce and say is a part of the system of white supremacy. So it should also be tossed out, and black people should reject it. But it is that white patriarchal structure that allows you to make the money that you make in this society, in this first world country, right? It's so fucking confusing. At the end of the day, the women want to do whatever the fuck they want to do. These women that are coming online, talking like For Harriet, trying to include transgenders and everything, I don't know what it is. I don't know what bug crawled up their ass or whatever. They want to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And they're trying to invoke and use and point to all different type of shit, white supremacy. Everything is Eurocentric. I mean, literally everything is Eurocentric, in order to, reject, anything that they don't want to do. And it's just that simple. This isn't rocket science. So, all the mental gymnastics and, backflips that people are doing, I'm like, no, you don't want to do X, Y, and Z. You want to do whatever the fuck you want to do, and just leave it at that. But to see people try to make it like what pisses me off about women is women always try to make it like they're warring against something, or that they're challenging something, or that, it's in their DNA to buck everything and buck the system. And black men, they're just weak, and they don't challenge anything, and they've been compromised, and they've what's the word that I'm looking for? We've been we're domesticated and docile, right? And that's what's said. But I look at this shit, I'm like, yo, she is really trying to sell me some man butt as a heteronormative cisgendered black male. She's really trying to sell me some man butt and tell me that man butt is the same as vagina. I'm like, man butt is not the same as vagina. I'm sorry, it's not. On top of the fact that, not even understanding the why and how it is women are valuable to men, and that whole patriarchal concept. Once you toss that out, you know what I'm saying? There's to me, all the colorism and all the black men elevating white women and all that other shit, and women literally, you got a group of men that, that aren't building anything, right? That's the argument. right? They're not building anything. But then the whole concept of generational wealth and legacies is crushed internally within the black community. You know, all the women that think even remotely like For Harriet, or, you know, to mileage may vary, or to whatever freaking degree, if they have sons, what do you think they're going to teach their sons? You think they're going to teach their sons anything about patriarchy, even patriarchy as a basic concept? Like, this is what you're supposed to do. I know some women try, and they try to go up there and they try to present, you know, black male responsibility devoid of leadership, but they, you know, that never lasts. Sooner or later, the boys, the young men, they recognize, they're like, yo, but what's in it for me? And then they say, nothing. You get to honor the queen. That should be enough. That should satisfy you. You know what I mean? So here you have the women who are basically doing the same thing that they're accusing the men of, which is trying to get men to serve women to women's benefit, but the men don't get anything out of it, right? And the crazy thing is, it's like you have women who are sitting around lamenting, even the women that are on this crazy shit, lamenting of how they're not receiving the benefits that come from the very patriarchy that they despise. They hate male leadership, all that stuff. You look around the whole world, like, they hate patriarchy. Patriarchy is terrible. But then they will sit there and stare you in the face as a black man and talk about how all these other races of men are giving their women X, Y, and Z and doing this and that for their women and pedestalizing their women and protecting their women and honoring and cherishing their women, completely ignoring the fact that, yeah, but their men run shit in their communities. It's the patriarchy over there, babe. Those women are cooperating with those structures. You don't want to cooperate, you don't get those benefits. I'm saying even Captain Solo, with all of the big shiny capes that he has for black women, even that's when he has to walk. You know what I'm saying? When the men that are labeled super duper ultra simps, when they say they've had enough and they walk, that means the shit is blatantly not fair. There's blatantly nothing in it. I remember Cap used to talk about that when he used to talk to some of the dark feminists and everything, where the women were talking about divine female principles and worshiping the woman and everything. And he was like, I'm not going to subscribe, you know, to that bullshit. Because he was like, so basically you're telling me, okay, you want patriarchy to be smashed, but basically I'll have the same role underneath matriarchy as I would underneath patriarchy, but except I don't control anything. So I got to build the bridges, pave the roads, run the wire, run the infrastructure, set up the power grid, you know, be the law enforcement officers and the protectors and the sanitation workers and all that shit. I got to do all that, but I have less say. So, I mean, it's literally like going to a job and you know, year one, you got this decent contract. You're like, okay, you know, I come to work, I do this, I got my 401k, everything. So you're working, you got a good contract. And then literally next year, they come in with a new contract and cut everything that you had in half. And black women sit there and look at black men like they're supposed to be satisfied with that. I'm like, you're causing people to fucking walk. You're causing black men to freaking walk. You know, and then, you know, you got all the other outside stuff, you know, that's still, you know, like For Harriet talks about, you know, patriarchy and the standards that come from the white community and everything. I'm like, you're never going to have anything that's going to counter the cues that are coming from the dominant white society when your men are not building. And then you have a whole generation of men that don't even want to freaking build because, you know, it's they only see it through this matriarchal lens. And they're like, yo, there's nothing there for me. You know, like they can't even see like where they would be in control of it, because as soon as you start talking about black men and being in control, then it turns into rape and pillage and they're shamed and they're accused of, you know, all this evil, nefarious stuff and whatnot. You know, and that's why you get these men who think that, you know, they can come through with nothing but likes and you know, praising words and, you know, oh yes, queen, you know, yes, my beautiful queen. Yeah, sure, it makes you fucking feel good. As I've always said, yeah, it'll make you feel good. But at the end of the day, you know, sooner or later, you know, especially in some women's maturity, you're going to realize that there's nothing connected to that. There's nothing tangible that's connected to that. So it's just nothing but a bunch of words, which is essentially what black women have been getting for like the last like 30 years. You know, motherfuckers sit up there, yeah, my black, Nubian, Afrocentric, Juju B queen, and then turn right around and then go off and run off with the with the non-black woman on some Nick Cannon shit. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's like there's no oxygen left in this room. Like it, that's the black community for black men. There's and I'm saying whether black men have been consciously aware of it or subconsciously unaware of it, I'm saying they've known something is wrong. It's what brought me to the internet. I'm like, something is wrong here, man. I thought I'd just go to school, graduate, get a job, and then, probably like, fool around, date, go to clubs and shit for like, 2-3 years and then finally settle down. That's what I thought was going to happen. But then, all this stuff that in the 90s, it was you go girl. Then it turned into black girl magic. And then it was like black women are kicking ass. And then, the ABC special came out. There's only one black man for every 100 black women. That bullshit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Then we talked about all the community shit and everything else. And then now we're at a stage where people are bringing in retarded shit. I'm like, damn, I thought the problem was niggas in jail and, black on black violence and poverty. Like, I'm like, I'm prepared to deal with that shit. You know what I'm saying? That I can grasp. You know what I mean? But like now it's like, no, you gotta want man butt. And if you don't want man butt, you know what I mean? You're Eurocentric. You're subscribing to the heteronormative, cisgendered, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy. I'm like, wow, I don't even know how we got here. Like seriously, like I done fell way deep down the Alice in Wonderland like black hole. Like this shit is just, I mean, I'm it's like I'm just continuing to fall and everything is just continuing to untether. You know what I mean? And the part that pisses me off, and I said this in my alpha female video that I didn't post yet, but it's like these women present shit that has not been tested. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like even remotely, like they've run no simulations. And they think they think that their master plan, like For Harriet thinks that, oh, if we just eliminate this and eliminate that, then everything will just be good. And I'm like, nothing works like that. You want to go and you want to try something new, whatever it may be. Like you want to come out with a new program, I'm sure you're going to have bugs in it. They can't even make video games that don't have bugs in it, that where the system doesn't crash or something like that. And see, the thing is like when you're doing these type of social experiments, on society, and you don't even have any grasp of like, or you don't even care what 50% of the community even wants. Like it's like everything For Harriet talks about is all about what women want. It's all about what women and y'all are going to value. I'm like, oh really? You just going to tell me what the fuck I'm going to do? You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at societies, everything is predicated on what the men do. This is why you end up with a lot of men that jump up and they sit there and they blame women, because women will sit there and act like nothing is predicated on men. And that women use their ethereal magical powers to get everything done. And it's all about intrinsic this and intrinsic that. And everything is just innate. Right. Then you got another set of women that'll sit there. And once they understand how patriarchy works, then they proceed to blame black men. But when you hear it from both sides, you know what I'm saying? It looks like black women are talking out of both sides of their face. You know what I mean? Like you one breath, one woman saying, "Oh, black men need to build," da 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 da, and in the next breath, we don't even care what y'all motherfuckers want. I'm like, how do you not care what the builders want? If the builders say fuck it, you see what the problem is. Look at the shit that's going on right now in the city of Philadelphia. I don't know if it's going on anywhere else, but in Philly, the trash collectors stopped collecting the trash. Remember what I used to say about sanitation workers? I'm like, okay, yeah, you think they ain't shit. You don't, nobody wants to date the oh, he's just a sanitation worker. I don't want to date him. None of that shit. All the motherfuckers basically went on strike or took a sick leave because, the issue is they don't even know what they're picking up. You know what I'm saying? On top of the fact that since everybody's home and everybody has to stay inside, there's like, 3 times the amount of trash that there was before. Because, again, now, everybody's home, as opposed to where people would be at work half the day and they would eat lunch at work and then throw stuff into dumpsters and everything else. Now everything is just piling up in front of people's homes. OK, and, obviously this is a time where, where when people got to do more work, they want to be properly compensated for it. So now you got sanitation workers like, yo, we not doing this shit. And now the trash is piling up. You see? Like, I'm like, there's certain, like, see, people always think that everything's just automatic, society is already built and whatnot. Men, like these men are literally invisible to society, and especially women. These men are invisible until they stop doing their job. Once they stop doing their job, then everybody feels the impact. You see, and in the black community, the strange thing is that, black men have been out of their position of doing their job for so long that you have multiple generations that, they don't even know what black men's roles are. You know what I mean? So there's a flip side to that, to where, they're like, patriarchy, what's that? I come from a long line of single mothers. Like, what the hell is that? Like, it doesn't even process in their brain. Which is, again, leads to, one of the reasons why, to me, a lot of the swirl conversations is a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. Because a lot of black women don't even know how to interact with men, period. It don't matter whether it's black men or other racism. They do not know how to interact with men. They do not understand and respect patriarchy. All the other communities, respectively speaking, are patriarchies. They're much stronger patriarchies than the black community, even if you want to say the black community is some sort of pseudo patriarchy. Because, women will try to point to shit like, well, there's a pastor in the church and he's guiding all the women, telling them what to do. That's patriarchy. No, that's shit that black women control, which is why black men don't show up, because all they do in there is sell a bunch of hope and sell a bunch of it's not your fault and no accountability and bucketless bottomless pits of hope. You know what I'm saying? Or bottomless buckets of hope. I said that backwards. I'm dyslexic for a minute. That's what they sell. And men cannot live off of and survive off of hope indefinitely. Sooner or later, he's going to realize or ask the question. He's like, look, I've been reading this Bible and doing all this praying and everything else like that. Like, I need an opportunity. The only reason why black men went to church in the past is because the opportunities and the religion were connected. You could go to church, you would meet other men in the church who maybe had a connection to an opportunity, and you could go there and say your sweet love for Jesus and everything, and you probably didn't even believe in the shit that deep. You know what I mean? But you went there and, oh, God is good all the time and all that shit. And it was, you look like a good, young, strong Christian man. You say, oh, I sure is so. You know what I'm saying? Well, I have a job for you at the factory. And then, bam, you could go get that job. Who gives a fuck what the man thinks? Okay, you go, you do your little dance, you get your opportunity. You know what I mean? Now you got some money in your pocket. Now you can date. Now you can buy a car. Now you can buy a house and everything else. And your life is good. And you go and do whatever the fuck you want to do. You know what I'm saying? But you had to get past the gatekeeper. You had to get the opportunity. But see, the thing is like now there's no opportunities in the black community. You know what I mean? There's no black men in the church. So even if a black boy or young man went to the church, it's not like he's going to go in the church and run into a whole bunch of, black men who are, foremen and people who work in plants and factories and, managers and shit like that where they can put him on. So like the church is just a pure waste of motherfucking time. A nigga got more opportunities, on the streets, flipping shit on the block than he ever would have walking in the freaking church full of nothing but a bunch of single mothers with their sissified gay ass boys. You see? So it's like the whole thing is collapsed. You know what I mean? And women can talk all the shit they want. They can be all mad that they want. They can talk all the colorism that they want. They can talk all the self-hate rejection of black women that they want. But there's no place for black men in the black community. There's literally no place. There's a constant disrespectful disposition. You know what I mean? I mean, even for a black boy just coming into the world. He got to wear the scarlet letter of, whatever wasn't done or whatever fathers didn't do the right thing. He got to wear that scarlet letter. He walks in when he's dealing with black women. He walks into an immediate wall of negativity, an immediate wall of just, eyes rolling and everything else. That's what black men walk into. They don't want to deal with it. And then you got the media that's countering the shit saying, oh, well, here's the expanded light skin universe. Black men, you can go over here, blah, blah, blah. And then, you got street culture dominating the airways with the music and shit like that. And they can go and then you got the ELs, they go off to school and shit like that. And then, they come out, maybe get a decent job. And then, they're like, hey, I don't, these women are oriented the way that, that I envisioned would be oriented, that women would be oriented. They thought that they could leave school and then, get a black woman that would be on that shit. Thought that Kerry Washington's would be wrapped around the block, especially with all the shit that was being said in the 90s about black men in jail and they don't have their shit together and this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, well, I got my shit together. I'm the prize, right? And then, women got upset about that shit. And so, it's like, damn, like y'all can't even fake it till you make it. You just gotta tell a motherfucker like, you ain't shit. You haven't won a race war. It's like there's no oxygen in this room to even fucking breathe. And now I got women trying to sell me man butt, tell me that man butt and vagina is the same thing. Like, yo, these are grounds to fucking walk. I mean, you just add it all together. The fucking the disrespectful disposition, the shit that For Harriet is talking about, the crap that you see with Jada Pinkett and that whole, high priestess, earth mother goddess, all those sort of manipulative to things that I've always talked about. I mean, she can't even take accountability for what she did. Can't even take accountability for the shit. Entanglement. It was entanglement. She's one of these I can fix a motherfucker type of women. She saw August Alsina. He's all messed up in the head because, he was sexually violated and molested. And so she comes in like the mother figure. She's the older woman. As we've been saying before, when it comes to most of these black boys, when they lose their virginity to older girls or older women. I lost my virginity to a woman who was older. But, y'all come through and, it's evil black men raping and molesting little girls. And this is what goes on. And it's like you just go around and I'm going over there listening to Kevin Samuels. And I mean, God damn, man. I mean, the women that call on that show. I mean, and I got another video where I talk specifically about Kevin Samuels and one of the shows that he did recently. And it's just like, man, if these women don't be telling on themselves. I mean, they just don't have a clue. And they all want to date men that are making six. Every last one of them wants to date a baller. Every last one of them. And as Kevin points out, they're average at best. And then they got other things that detract, from them, like, they have kids or, they're overweight or uncooperative. Like one woman, she up there bitching about colorism and black men being with other women, and then come to find out that she was with a dude and it was a serious relationship, and then he got a job or transferred or something like that, a raise, and they broke up because she didn't want to go where he was going. And it's like, but you want to be a wife, you want to be married, but you're not willing to go where the most likely prospect that you will be married, goes. You're not willing to go. You're not willing to go with him. You know what I'm saying? Like this goes back to something that Captain Solo said a long time ago. And he said, with a lot of the women that he's talked to offline and just all the conversations he's had, private emails, all that stuff. He said every last one of the black women have had a decent dude and they fucked it up. Dudes that had money, dudes that had jobs, careers, all that shit, they fucked it up. And black women, they come online, no, you just blaming black women. You trying to make everything black women's fault. You just blaming us. But like, this is what it is with African American women, culturally speaking. It's like they buck and resist everything. And it's like, you, again, mileage may vary. You'll have the woman that, a brother's got a, decent career. He's like, hey, I got a job opportunity in California. Come with me. Sister don't want to come. And then you got the other end of the spectrum where you got, a woman that'll say the whole concept of patriarchy and a man leading and everything else is, Eurocentric, like For Harriet. And then we end up with these conversations about, oh, black men don't build. But again, how can black men build if the setup is not patriarchal? It doesn't benefit them. And then we get into conversations about, well, why can't black men go out here and create a black Chinatown like the Asian men? Again, that would be a setup where the black men are in charge. Letting everything that black women will point to that is beneficial, that other races of men provide for their women, comes from patriarchal communities. It's the most hilarious shit in the world. I'm like, you do realize you're talking about patriarchy. You do realize that. And they don't realize it. They're trying to get patriarchal benefits from this sort of, role reversed pseudo patriarchy or matriarchy, or they're literally trying to create not only Franken niggas, but a Frankenstein community. I'll have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I don't want any of this, but I'll have some of that, but I don't want any of that over there. You can keep that. And they think that it's going to function the same way. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? Like, can we fix the community first and get the economics right in the community first and have young men with the proper orientation first, and then we can talk about some reform? But no, it's completely broken. And these women are coming through and they're talking about how they want, these reforms. You know what I'm saying? And I know why they do it, because they see it as an opportunity. Yes, it's broken. The black community is down. It's weakened. So we can come in and present all this alternative stuff. Right. But again, women just have these ideas. None of it's been tested. None of it's been, or some people would argue that it has been tested, because we've had, fatherless homes and matriarchy and role reversal for the last, 40, 50 years. And so, a primary example is, women run around screaming how they can raise boys. Remember, they were running around. We can do it by a woman can raise a boy to be a man. Da 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 da. Now we see that that's ineffective. I don't care what the women say. We see how that doesn't work. We see how ineffective that is. And so I don't even know why men even entertain women talking about, women who, that either throw up the exceptions to the rule, or they'll, try to tell you that, that women can do it, right? With even though the evidence is the majority of the people, fail. Right. It's like the people that try to argue with you that, single parent homes are just as good as 2-parent homes. Look at me. I came out perfectly fine. You may have come out perfectly fine, but the vast majority of people who are coming from 2-parent homes are, coming from, situations where they're negatively affected. It wasn't designed to be that way. I don't know why people are trying to make shit that, like, they're trying to force shit that it wasn't designed to be that way. People try, even with the women, they're like, oh, well, transgender women are the same as biological. No, the fuck they're not. No, the fuck they're not. All that gay shit is not the same as heterosexual shit. You take a bunch of gays and you put them on an island somewhere, and you come back in 100 years. Well, that's the end of them, because they don't procreate. Again, going back to what that woman said, we are the creators of life. Yeah, heterosexual people are the creators of life. You can't fuck with that. They can produce legacies and generational wealth and pass on, culture and religion and language and all that other stuff. They can do that. Nobody's saying that transgender and gay people and all that shit are not a part of the community. But they're a minority. Again, the reforms and stuff like that. Do I think gay people should be attacked? No. Do I think transgender people should be attacked? No. But do I think that they should be able to come in the room and then burn the building down and tear everything down so that they feel that they have more of a position or more of a say or more of a place? Fuck no. Fuck no. Just the same way that I feel that light-skinned people shouldn't walk into Wakanda and start telling the Wakandans about how they need to promote light skin equally. I'm like, doesn't work like that. That's just the reality. It's all this all-inclusivity shit. All that shit does is completely erode and tear down any sort of standards. F students and A students are the same thing now. because we're giving out participation awards. It's all inclusive. You know what I'm saying? And then you end up with shit that just confuses everything. You got people already saying black women are ugly or unattractive or whatever, and then you got freaking a man wearing a wig, you know what I mean, or transgender women that can't or don't pull it off. You know what I mean? And then you don't know what you're really looking at, and it kind of confuses you, and then you're conflating that with biological black women and saying, oh, and then like, oh, that's an ugly woman. Damn, man. When black women get so hit, no, actually that's a man. Oh, okay. I got confused there for a minute, because there's so many of them, right? And then you just end up with this situation, just no standards, just people trying to push everything that you don't want on you. People can sit there and talk about what they think the value in society should be. It's simply not going to be that way, because the values are established through what people want to deal with, what people want, what people desire. You know what I'm saying? Mercedes-Benz can only be the luxury brand that Mercedes-Benz is if they keep it exclusive. Because the truth of the matter is, shit that everybody has access to, with a lot of people, it doesn't have any status. It doesn't have any prestige. This goes back into some of the shit that 50 Cent was talking about. The black women, they're just regular schmegular. They're everyday girls. They're all around and everything else like that. But see, what offsets that, and I've said this before, and some people agree and disagree with me, but what offsets that is when that shit, when being with a black woman is tied to wealth and legacies and establishing a community and getting torches passed to you because the oligarchs in your community want to see you married to a sister before they pass the torch. And then on top of that, you get the media promotion, because you have this patriarchal community and you control your media. Therefore, you control your image. Therefore, you control the image of black women. Therefore, you can put up the most positive and beautiful images of black women to where people subconsciously start thinking, what are you talking about? Black women are bad, man. They're fucking fine as hell. What are you talking about? They're the most beautiful women in the world. Yeah, if they were promoted right. But with all this anything goes fucking bullshit, and then you have, no patriarchy, no structure, no nothing, and then the community's broken and poverty is frantic all over the place. You start associating blackness with poverty. You start associating blackness with crime and negativity. You start associating black women with all of that. That is negative. And then sooner or later, you get young black men talking like 50 Cent and Lil Wayne up there talking about, nah, man, I want what looked like came off of a boat, man. Yeah, because every time you turn on Telemundo and Univision siempre contigo, every time you turn that motherfucker on, it ain't nothing but a bunch of smoking hot weather girls in slim fit dresses and shit. But see, for Harriet, she would be like, why can't we have a transgender female reporter? Why can't we have a transgender weather girl up there? You know what I mean? And you got this SpongeBob SquarePants looking ass woman in a dress, and it's fucking your mind up. And it's fucking your mind up, and you're sitting there, and you don't want it. You don't want it. Black women should not be associated with everything that you don't want. And currently, right now, it's pretty much damn close to that. They're associated with everything that you don't want. The community, the poverty, all the radical leftist shit and everything else like that. The lack of cooperation, the belligerent attitudes, the obesity, it just all of it. And sisters, they always want to come through and try to point to one thing. It's colorism. It's this over here. It's just black men or something. No, it's the whole fucking bag of the shit. And that's why you have brothers out here that, their eyes are going elsewhere. It's the whole bag. It's not just one thing. It's like 10 different things in the fucking bag. And you're like, yo, I'm like, and then we get to the For Harriet talking points. And then you're just like, yo, like, this is like the last straw. Like, y'all trying to get me to be on some man butt shit. And again, people can talk all the shit they want. They can go up and they can yell and shout and, try to, throw up deflections and everything else like that. But, I'm like, this is like you got to look at the audience that these women have. You can say what you want. I went over there. Look, For Harriet's video has 1,300 likes, right? She only has 300 dislikes. So the majority of people agree with her. Now, arguably, there's probably some white people and whatnot who watch her videos, but the overwhelming majority is black people, and they're co-signing this shit. You know what I'm saying? There might even be men who grew up in the matriarchy that are over there co-signing. All these beta males and simps and white knights and shit. They over there co-signing the shit. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yo, I'm a straight heterosexual, heteronormative, cisgender black male, you know what I'm saying, who believes in patriarchy, who believes a lot of this shit needs to be corrected because I can't fucking stand it. And then you look around and you're like, yo, life is fucking short. You're like, I don't, I mean, this is just an uphill battle. It's like I can't even just take a disk and just put the software, on the hard drive. Like, no, you got to deprogram motherfuckers in order to be able to move forward. And it's like, it's just this uphill battle. It's like you will spend the rest of your life going out there trying to battle this shit, trying to battle ideologies. You haven't even got to the networking and the infrastructure and everything else like that. You know what I mean? It's like trying to battle even street culture in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like just that's keeping it real. And then on top of that, then you get the street culture, and then the same women that are up there talking about evil patriarchy and smash the patriarchy and all the stuff that like arguably is structured and people are trying to do it the right way. Then a lot of those same women will be interested in the street thugs, because it's a structureless environment. It's an environment where they can manipulate and they can come through and they can argue and say that they can manipulate the shit the same way that they do with the religion and the high priestess, Hotep goddess, the Hoteptress. They can do it the same way. You know what I mean? Where again, since street dudes and all that stuff, they're anti the system, so they can kind of play on that anti the system. For Harriet could much more easily play on, being anti the system to a bunch of street black men than she could, let's say, a nigga that went to, some Ivy League school or something like that is looking to be incorporated in the system and get what he can get out of the system in terms of, economic employment and all that other stuff. So you see a lot of connections between these women who have these radical ideas, these feminist ideas and these other, leftist ideas and black men that are into the street culture. And again, the black men that are in the street culture, like, they operate on, you can't define me, you can't regulate me, you can't tell me what to do. They don't believe in vertical structure either. And so that's a lot of the reason why when these two people that don't want to be obligated to one another or any structure link up, which is why it's a disaster. And typically what you end up with is a black woman who, she wants to do whatever the fuck she wants to do. She gets with Pookie, has Pookie's baby. Pookie wants to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And then at some point, Pookie, when he gets tired of dealing with her bullshit, Pookie's the fuck out. Pookie is gone and she's sitting there stuck with the baby. Then she takes that, and then that spills on black men, and that ends up being a blemish on the collective of black men's, report card, and which includes black men that she don't even fuck with because they bring too much structure and Eurocentricity and rules and regulations and all that other shit. And it's like, again, at that point, it's like, fuck it. And that's part of the reason why a lot of black women get relegated to bullshit and bullshit dudes, aside from the fact that it also further reinforces why you'll have black men who are upwardly mobile, who look like I deserve something greater and better than a black woman, because look at the type of men that they fool with. You get the dark skinned women that go out here and there's some of the main ones that'll be up there fucking with bullshit. And then they go and have the baby and everything else. And the guy sees, oh, that's your baby daddy. And then again, they get associated with, that poverty. And maybe it's just because dark-skinned black women are the majority of black women. There's less light-skinned women. But then you also have the aspect of light-skinned women. They see the cues that they get from, white media, and they go out there and they're like, oh, I can play on this colorism. I can play on my value. I can play on the association with lightness and whiteness and brightness. And I can play on us being associated with not being a black woman and all the poverty and everything else. And they play that shit up. They're like, oh, let me get my heels and my makeup and my shoes and all that other shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't see, you see very few light-skinned women who are like smoking, who come online talking crazy like this. You see very few of them. Most of them are like, oh, I can get something out of this. So I'm not tripping. I'm not going full retard. They might still be on some feminist shit because they're still a part of, black female culture. They might be on some, hey girl, da 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 da, but they're not trying to necessarily burn the whole house down. They're like, well, I'm going to use this light skin to my advantage and get what I can get. Because, again, there's these constant reinforces, in the media and in the community. And it's just the way it plays out. It's just the way it plays out. It's like an electron. I'm trying to like pinpoint its velocity and its location, but it's virtually impossible to do that. But when you look at it, I'm like, that people don't want to hear it. They're like, oh, you're just elevating light skin. They don't want to hear it. But I'm like, that's how that shit is playing. That's exactly how that shit is playing out. You don't want to hear it, but that's the way it is. And again, they see those connections. They see those affiliations. The women want to do whatever the fuck they want to do. That means they got to get with a dude that is going to allow them to do whatever the fuck they want to do, which is usually a subordinate man. A man that doesn't have his ducks in a row, a man that cannot enforce even whatever little bit of ideas he has about what a man is supposed to be and how a man is supposed to control a woman and whatnot. The only ones that maybe get that to some degree are the ones that actually have money from whatever illegal activity that they're actually doing. They actually are breaking women off, and a woman's riding around in his Charger wide body with the 22s. You know what I'm saying? In the matte green. You know what I'm saying? And that a sexy motherfucker. That shit is sexy as hell, ain't it? Friggin' Scat Pack with the matte green and the wide body. Oh, hell yeah. But I'm just saying, she riding around in his car and everything. Yeah, so he can control and regulate and manipulate like that. But, you're still dealing with, you still got two people that, they really don't like rules, regulations, and structures. And it's just so easy for black people to jump up and say, oh, that's Eurocentric. You're trying to act white, or, you're trying to be something that you're not, or, oh, that's what white people did to us. So why are you subscribing that and trying to impose that on other black people, and then we never get anywhere. We never get anywhere because we cannot establish vertical structures and vertical hierarchies. We don't believe in them. Again, slavery was the great equalizer. How do you get an ex-slave to work for an ex-slave? And how do you get black people who view each other with total, disregard? They have no deference for one another. They have no deference for even those that are their elders or olders, because a lot of them, with my immediate generation, what I'm saying, a lot of them fucked up. A lot of them don't even comprehend or get the things that I'm saying and the things that I'm laying out. It's really been, this recent generation of young black men who've come online and have really dove deep into these conversations about what's going on. Maybe it's because, we've had greater access to the internet and the free exchange of ideas that didn't exist before. But there were brothers that were talking about these issues like Amos Wilson and Dr. Claude Anderson and, Dr. Hendrik Clark, and these elders that were laying out some shit, but, they having to, go to a seminar and VHS tapes, and hoping that shit lands in the hands of the masses of black people. I'm saying, this is the benefit of YouTube, and YouTube being able to be used, to the advantage of, having these conversations and, free exchange of ideas and dialogues. But unfortunately, a lot of people who really don't need to be on the mic have gotten on the mic, and they're spewing their nonsense, trying to, create these sort of freaking paradigm shifts, and they don't care what the fuck happens in its wake. They don't care what collapses in its wake. And again, I'm not saying that we can go back to, a brick and mortar store, Main Street, mom and pop shop, because, you see how things are changing in the economy and, the internet and e-commerce and Bitcoin and all these sorts of things. You see how, things are changing, automation, which is why I say write code and not rhymes. Okay, black people need to get into having a black Silicon Valley, and they need to get into robotics, because I'm telling you, that's going to be the next thing. People are not going to, they're going to reclaim Detroit, and Detroit is going to be putting out, robots like the damn Hammond Corporation in freaking, what movie was that, or game was that? Either iRobot or I think the Hammond Corporation is in Titanfall. That's what it's going to be. And black people will be completely out of the labor market, and situation will get worse for us. So I'm not trying to, that's my focus. I'm focused on that economic aspect of getting the black community back where it needs to be, and patriarchy and all that shit. And I'm not trying to hear all this noise and all this distraction, with, all these sort of alternative lifestyles and people trying to redefine things to their benefit, which only creates more confusion. Then when you're trying to have, young men have the proper orientation, they're confused, because they're like, well, what about this over here? I see two men and I don't understand, and two women over. I don't get it, and I'm confused. But why do we need to do? Well, the women get to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Why do we have to be responsible and handle this and handle that? They do whatever they want to do. This isn't fair. Then they start pushing back and shit, because they're like, why am I doing all this? What is the purpose? And then to do it for a bunch of people who are going to be uncooperative with you any motherfucking way, it's very hard to get. No, you're doing this for your own benefit, But it's like being a soldier during Vietnam, and people are running up and calling you baby killers, but in your mind you're being told that you're keeping America safe. In your mind, you're being told that you're, keeping back the spread of communism. But as soon as you get off the plane, people are like, boo, nigga, boo. And they're throwing tomatoes at you. Fucking baby killer. That's what it's like being a black man given a proper orientation in the black community. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say for now. So that's my video. SWP out.